Welcome to Mother Daughter Projects. I'm Steph.
I'm Vicki, and today we're going to make a kitchen island that rolls and it fits underneath a kitchen cabinet.
This is actually a bottom cabinet turned upside down with wheels. It can be pulled out slightly to assist with microwaving items or moved anywhere in the kitchen for more counter space. And when not in use, it stores perfectly as if it was just a typical cabinet.
Now, how exactly did we come up with this idea?
Almost 1 year ago, I noticed some water damage on the edge of this cabinet. It had bubbled up and it had continued to get bigger and bigger. So Mom and I decided to one day pull off the quarter round and see if we could figure out where the water was coming from. This is right next to my sliding door, which I've been wanting to replace because it's been getting older and harder to open. We pulled off some of the molding and we saw a lot of spots where water had caused some damage. So we decided to take everything out of the cabinet and we realized there was just a couple screws holding it to the wall. So we removed those and we took out the cabinet. You can see there's quite a mess back here. Ultimately, we decided there was not an active leak, but humidity was getting inside the house through the sliding door because it wasn't airtight anymore. We took the cabinet to the garage to store, and here you can see a good look at the water damage on the bottom. Now this is MDF, so it really just soaks that water right up. We left the spot like this until we got the sliding door replaced a couple months later by a local company. Once that was done, we patched the wall and made it look like the rest of the kitchen. Luckily, I had some extra flooring, so we cut some spots out and laid out the new flooring. And it looks like it's always been there. We just used construction adhesive to attach it to the ground since it's not going to get a lot of use, and it worked fine. Now with the spot prepped, it's time to make the cabinet. This is the cabinet after sitting in the garage for a few months. It's still in good condition with the exception of the damaged parts. We decided to try to use it to make the kitchen island. We just needed to find a way to cut off the damaged part. We also weren't sure if it would just fall apart once we cut off half of it, but what did we have to lose? We were going to trash it anyway. We went into the kitchen to try to figure out the height we needed for the cabinet. We previously hung my microwave from the top cabinet and we wanted the rollout cabinet to be pretty close to that bottom. So here we're just stacking a couple random things to see if we can get the height right. This will be the top of the cabinet, which is a hardwood tool cabinet top that we got from Home Depot years ago. This is an inexpensive option for a butcher block style countertop. We realized we needed the entire height of the cabinet in order for it to sit where we want, and this takes into account the casters we're going to use. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out where to put the casters on the bottom. But ultimately, Mom had the great idea to turn the cabinet upside down, then we could attach the casters to the wood that's already in place in this configuration. And a bonus is extra storage in the back and a front lip to hold things when it's pulled out as an island. Once we had a plan, we took the side molding and back off. Then using our track saw, we cut off the damaged part. We started with one side at a time, flipping it over each time to cut another straight cut. We made sure we lined up each cut and it worked fairly well. The track saw is our go-to saw as it makes really clean cuts. At this point we had 3 sides cut, but the bottom was a little bit more challenging. We realized we needed to cut the corners off with the multi-tool in order to be able to use the saw. This allowed us to plunge the saw in and cut most of the bottom. Then we use our Japanese pool saw to do the rest. And it's separated! We were pleasantly surprised at how sturdy it was with the back off. We did cut off the second set of holes that hold the shelves in place, so here we're marking spots for new holes. It was a challenge to get these lined up exactly, but we did practice on the piece we cut off before making the holes in the final piece. We're using a drill guide to make sure the holes are nice and straight and a 3/16 drill bit to match the size of the existing holes. We're using a piece of painter's tape to mark the depth so we don't drill too far. Since we flipped over the cabinet, we need a solid surface for the bottom. We decided to reuse what was the top of the cabinet. We easily deconstructed it and cut it to size. We're using painter's tape to make sure the Formica didn't chip when we cut it, and it worked perfect. The cabinet was not completely square, so it took us a couple tries to get this right, but it now fits. Next, Mom headed to her house to work on smoothing out the cabinet and repainting it. The paint was peeling as the surface was not properly prepped before we painted it years ago. Mom filled any imperfections with wood fill. She primed and painted. Then we cut the shelves down to the new depth. And we used some scrap wood for the back that Mom primed and painted. We also cut the top to the proper width, but we kept the depth. With all the cuts made, Mom brought it back to my house for assembly. Mom was able to easily do this using the MDP van that has a handy ramp. To seal the one cut edge on the top, Mom used polyurethane. We marked the placement of the casters. This is one of the few things that we did purchase for this project. For extra protection, Mom sealed the bottom of the Formica countertop, which is now going to be the bottom. We did this just in case any moisture comes in from the frequently opened sliding door. Then we put it in place, clamped it, and screwed it in from the bottom. Next, we added the casters. Then we put it right side up, and it rolls perfectly. We ordered a 15-inch cabinet handle that we're deciding on the placement. Then we use our Craig cabinet jig to make the holes. Lastly, we're using L brackets to attach the top to the base. We marked the placement, then screwed the brackets to the top, then screwed the top to the bottom. It was a little challenging to get to these, so we utilized a flexible extension for our drill and a right angle attachment. Then we attached the doors back into place. Inside, we placed the shelf pegs, then the shelves. Lastly, we clamped the back into place and stapled it on. And here it is, all done. This turned out better than expected, and it's now a better size than the original cabinet and way more functional.
What we learned. Now, why didn't we just put the old cabinet back? Well, number one, there was damage on it, and we couldn't figure out how to replace that without it being obvious. Number two, I have never liked this cabinet here. It always was too big for the space, I felt. And I've had a lot of different greyhounds in my house, and sometimes they will run into that cabinet when they're trying to get into the sliding door, especially if multiple noses are trying to get out the door at one time. So now I can easily move it out of the way if I have dogs that aren't familiar with the house come over. Also, I've always wanted a kitchen island, but my kitchen is really small, so there's really no space for one. So now I'm able to solve all those solutions with this one upcycled project. And the biggest thing with this is I just wish we had done it sooner. I've lived in this house over 10 years, and this is now my favorite spot in the kitchen. I don't know how we would have come up with this idea before, but so happy to have it, and I think it's a great solution.
One thing that we would have done differently on this project was to add an entire row of shelf pin holes. We decided to cut corners on that because it took a little time and effort to do that, and we thought, well, we'll just decide where the shelves are going to go and just drill those holes. Well, that has proven to be very problematic because Steph needs to adjust those shelves, and you know what? The holes aren't there, so 100% we would take the time and the effort and go ahead and make an entire row of holes.
Now, as you saw, pretty much everything we used we already had. The only things we bought were the casters and the long handle. So this project cost us about 50 bucks.
Well, you may have noticed there is a microwave above the cabinet, and that is actually a hanging cabinet that we made, and we're going to be sharing that in an upcoming video.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more projects from us, be sure to visit us at mother.projects.com and subscribe right here on YouTube.